Okay, so let's go over some of the common concerns that you may have, some of the questions that you may have. Why a wall bed? Which wall bed should I get? What about my space, my budget? How much do these things cost? What are they worth, etc. So the first thing that I'll talk about is space. Um, so what is it that you're trying to accomplish, right? And people buy wall beds for a few different reasons. One is you're moving in. Let's say you're moving into a new house, right? You're moving into a new house. Why buy a wall bed? It's a great question. You buy your new place. Let's say it's a 2 bedroom, right? I'm just making this up. 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, whatever, right? So you have your main room and your guest room. You're gonna have to work in one of the two rooms, or maybe in your living area, or whatever the case is, right? So it's there's three ways to think about this. One is if you're originally planning to buy a house and you're buying a 2 bedroom house and one of those bedrooms has to be a guest room anyways, then why would you buy a 2 bedroom house, waste one of the rooms, and then now you only have 1 bedroom and you've paid for a 2 bedroom, right? So that's sort of the cost breakdown is, and to give a perspective, is um, a wall bed costs between $2,500 and $6,000 from us, right? And we'll get into why, and we'll get into the quality and what we do and the installation and all that, but that's the cost one time. If you look at what's the cost of a room, or in the case of a wall bed, we're saving you between 40 and 60 square feet. The average cost per square foot in the Bay Area is about $1,000 a square foot. We have 1.1 and $1.5 million dwellings in San Francisco that are less than 1,000 square feet. So that's $40,000 worth of land that you're getting rid of. So if you haven't decided, and I'm just giving this, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to spin it from 5, 6, 7 different angles. But if you're starting over, then either, for me, I'm either going to buy a 2 bedroom house and a wall bed, and then I get both of my bedrooms. Or if I don't want 2 bedrooms, I'm just going to buy a 1 bedroom house. But I'm not going to go ahead and add extra bedroom to my house, my purchase, to purchase a bigger house, to purchase what ends up being, and the whole room is not just the 40 square feet. The whole room is probably 10 by 10, probably 140 square feet. I'm adding 100 grand, 100 G's to that entire purchase that gets wasted because I'm not willing to invest 4 grand in a wall bed. I mean, but anyways, it's such a slam dunk when it comes to that, right? But let's talk about logistics. So let's say that you're starting from scratch. Let's say that you already have stuff in the room, right? The question is, how do you quantify productivity? How do you quantify your ability to focus at work and get promoted, or whatever the case is, right? You can't measure that in dollars, but let me measure it in dollars for you. Raise your hand if you drink coffee. Who here drinks coffee? Well, why do we drink coffee? We wake up in the morning because we drink coffee. We need to wake up. We need to get up early. We need to get promoted, etc. Who here drinks energy drinks? I do. Right? For better or worse, we do that to be able to create productivity, workflow, right? Space and time, right? How much better are you going to focus when you have an entire room where you can, move stuff and put stuff in the right spots and find your stuff, and then the reason I use the coffee analogy is because how much money do you think you spend on coffee? Let me tabulate this for you. You go to Starbucks and you spend $3 in a day, if even that, I mean, probably more. I mean, a lot of people, I spend more, but $3 in a day, I spend $10, $12 in a day on my energy drinks. $3 in a day. Please don't judge me for my bad habits. But $3 in a day, $90 in a month. $90 in a month. Okay, that's $1,000 in a year, right? Throughout the trajectory of your career, over the next 20 or 30 years, you spend, over the next 30 years, at the bare minimum, you spend $32,400 on your coffee to help keep you focused, to get you promoted, to make sure you work properly, to be able to have a clear mind and all that stuff. But you won't spend $4,000 on a wall bed? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I mean, so that's putting the pricing in perspective for the wall beds. All right, so what's another common question? What are some other solutions? Who's our competition? What are some other different ways to go about this problem? And there are other ways. I'll be honest, there are other ways. But this is the best solution. There's a few other ways. One, you can buy like a roll-away bed, or you can buy a sleeper sofa, or you can buy something like that. You can buy a wall bed cheaper off of Wayfair or Costco. Okay? I don't think those are good ideas, and I'll explain why, but you can definitely do that. So the first option you have, you can buy like a sleeper sofa or something like that, right? So there's two ways of thinking about this. There's two disadvantages. One, let's just be blunt. Let's be honest with each other here. That's not comfortable for your guests. It's just not. For me, it's like my mentality with my home is I want you to be comfortable, or I don't want you to come at all. Right? It's just, and I don't mean to say it like that, but it's just either I want to have you here and I want you to be comfortable, or why am I doing it? In which case, you don't need a guest. What do you need a guest room for? Why have people over? I mean, you can have them sleep on the couch if you want, but that's not even 4 or 5 times a year, that's not a guest room. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. But anyways, yeah, you can get a sleeper sofa. The other disadvantage, though, is a sleeper sofa still takes up, like we have them in our showroom, even when they fold up and don't come all the way out to be a bed, they still take up a lot of space on the floor. As you can see, my wall bed in the background, another concern that people have is the height. It just feels big. Okay, the wall beds are 17 inches on the wall, which for some people, they walk into the room and it feels big. So maybe they're thinking of getting a sleeper sofa or something that doesn't feel as big, and I understand that. One of the things about this, and this is the beauty of this, and this is everything I'm saying, it's not like it's gospel, like it's like you have to listen, but it's like, I said this to someone the other day, and I thought it was very profound, and they bought, fortunately, because now they don't have to have a sleeper sofa where their guests are uncomfortable. But one of the things that I found kind of interesting was that they came into my store and they said that the beds look a little big, or they feel a little big. And I said, well, you need to look at them differently. And they go, well, what do you mean look at them differently? And I was joking, and they were laughing, but the point is that I'm a little tired. The point is that when you see your room and you see the wall bed and you look at the wall bed and it feels big, you look at something that feels big until you realize that you just saved yourself an entire room worth of space because you don't have a sofa that's stretched out like this long. Then you can put your elliptical, you can put your bike, your exercise bike, your desk, your whatever the case is. And so saying it looks big, I understand that. And the sizes are what they are. I can't change that. And if you need to go home and measure and visualize it in your room, I understand. But to say, well, it looks big, so we think we're just gonna get a sofa or go in another direction or not have a guest room. To me, that's not logical, because again, when you look at the thing and you say, okay, this looks big, you also have to, while you're looking at it, also understand that that is the thing that's saving you a ton of space. Again, $40,000, $50,000 worth of space. So in terms of a wall bed, I mean, this is such a, and then resale value on your home. I mean, whether you plan to sell your home or keep your home, I mean, either way, the investment's worth it. If you know, let's say you're in your mid 30s or whatever age you are. And I always say, if someone says, well, we're too old to really enjoy the longevity of the benefits of this product, well then, and we want to not worry about it, well then that's fine, but then you're too old to worry about spending a couple thousand on a wall bed. If you're young, then you have the longevity. So either way, you can't really say that I'm too old or I'm too young or I'm too this or that to enjoy the benefits of a wall bed. But anywho, if you take the next 30, I'm just going to say 30 years because it's a round number. It could be more. Take the next 30 years of your life, right? And you take my price, divided by 30, divided by 12. $11 a month. In the big picture, you see how affordable that is. $11 a month to have your space for the next 30 years. If you sell your home, I guarantee you'll get your investment back on resale value hands down. Especially in the Bay Area, especially when people need their space. And you've saved them a shopping trip. A lot of people don't even think about getting a Murphy bed. They go, oh wow, this is really nice. If that could separate, if you could sell your home faster, if that could separate your home from getting an offer on it from somebody that's a big fish, you know, that really doesn't care, wants the Murphy bed, doesn't want to spend more time finding another home with a Murphy bed. Oh, wow, this is really cool. And you get the offer you want. You're telling me you're not going to invest a couple $1,000s? Come on, give me a break. This is just such a, I mean, it's such a no-brainer. Buying a Murphy bed is the easiest decision that you've ever made. It's like that commercial. It's the easiest decision in the history of decisions. They have that new commercial out for Capital One where it says, this is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. It is. And that's what it is with the Murphy bed. It really is a slam dunk. The only question is what color, what's your budget? Do you want to add piers? Do you want to add a mattress? Do you want to add a light kit? Those are all things that we could talk about. Do you want to go contemporary? Do you want to go modern? All that stuff, those are decisions. But the decision to buy a Murphy bed and buy one from us is easy. So I've talked about the logistical aspect. I've justified my price to you. Now I want to talk about why buy a Murphy bed from me and my family and from Wall Beds and More. So first of all, you have to understand is that this is an investment. This is a lifetime investment. And it's one that when you spend this kind of money, you really want to do it and do it right, you know. And like for me, I love gambling. I do. I gamble, but I don't think you want to gamble on your wall bed, you know. And one of my favorite sayings is, you know, the bitterness of poor quality lingers long after the sweetness of a low price is forgotten. And that is so true, because you see the stuff on Wayfair for $1,500, $1,800, $2,000, right? What you have to understand, and I book an appointment into my showroom. I'll show you this. I mean, I rip this stuff apart in 2 seconds. It's funny, but it's sad that there's some people that they don't get it and they still purchase from Wayfair, and for that situation, I'm sorry. And I in that situation, I feel bad. You know, I feel bad because I cheated you out of, and you bought a product that's going to break or that's going to have problems. And so if I don't educate you on the differences, then I didn't do my job. And because I am a salesperson, it's my job to sell. So I need to make sure that you know that buying cheap and buying off of online is just not, it's not a good investment. It's just not a good investment overall. But one of the questions that I get is, do I need real wood? Why do I need real wood? I mean, this looks nice, but do I need it? Well, actually you do, and here's why. I'm gonna demo this right here. This right here is called the Chelsea, or we used to call it the Dublin, but now it's called the Chelsea. This is one of the prettiest beds you can see. Look at all the design on there. Goes up and down. They got the little slats. This bed takes a ton of work in manufacturing. So this, in terms of this, our price on it is not negotiable because it's just such a, it's an expensive bed, but it's a really good bed, and it's one that you will enjoy in your home for a long time. And like I said, I will be honest, it is an investment, but it's a when I've said it's an expensive bed for us. We pay a lot for it because it just takes so much work, and there's just so much that goes into it. But anyways, let me show this to you. So the reason that you need real wood is because you can see right here, this drops on its own, right? Springs, and that's the chair right there, and it just goes and drops, right? So you can see right here, these are the springs and the pistons, and we'll show that to you in the showroom. But the spring, see how it goes up and down like this? The spring, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but again, I'll show you in the showroom. The spring goes up and down. So when the wall bed is up, the spring's like this, and then the spring comes down. The spring and the piston, right? So it comes down like this. Okay, so the spring, there's a little bit of pressure that's needed to bring the spring come like this as it comes down, and then it drops on its own. The wood is what stays in front of the spring and supports it. The wood allows the spring to go up and down, to not have problems, etc. So one of the most common things that I hear from people, and this is stupid that people say this, but I mean it is what it is. But one of the things I hear is, well, I'm only using this one time a year, or 2 times a year, or 3 times a year, or 4 times a year. It's a guest room, so I don't know if I care about getting quality. Actually, the less you use it, the worse it is to have particle board. The worse it is to have a bed that doesn't support the springs. And here's why. Because the springs, actually, the pressure as the particle board is breaking is exerting on the spring, so it's actually more pressure is being exerted, and it's not able to release that pressure until it comes down. Okay, so if you're using it somewhat frequently, it's actually more safe. It's better for the mechanism, or more safe to use a particle board spring-loaded wall bed if you're using it a few times, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year, than if you're only using it a couple times a year. It's actually worse. So that is not an excuse. That is not a good reason. That's not logical. That is not, and I hate saying it like that, but I'm very blunt, and it's the truth. Okay, so the bed, that wood is what supports the springs. Let's talk about budgeting. Let's talk a little bit about pricing, and I'm going to throw out sort of some ballpark numbers. I'm not going to give exact numbers. I'm not going to go around price every bed, but I'm going to give some ballpark numbers. So ballpark for the bed is about $3,000. For each of the side cabinets, depending on which one you go with, it's between $1,000 to $2,000 per side cabinet. Now, that said, we have side cabinets for $1,200 with the pull-out tray. But if you want to get desks and you want to add more, it costs more. But we have side cabinets for any budget. Okay, any budget over $1,000. The two things I hear is, there's a number of things that I recommend. Right, so if you have a $3,000 or $4,000 budget, I get you a bed and 2 piers. I can't. There's nothing I can do about that. I'd recommend that you finance. I'd recommend that you finance and get quality from us, because it's better to get quality on the whole thing than to not. But the worst thing you can do is to get particle board on the bed or lesser quality on the bed when you have the springs. You just don't want to do it. I've had people buy just the bed from me in white, black, gray, some of our more blendable colors, and then they go ahead and purchase side cabinets from somebody else. Right, and you can do that. You can do that on a $4,000 or $5,000 budget, or but you just can't get the whole thing from me. Reason being, it costs me a lot of money to make the bed and the piers, because the wood is just so strong and it's such good quality. But if I was to make your breakfast table out of birchwood and make your coffee table out of birchwood and your desk out of birchwood, and it would get expensive, right? So and again, listen, if you can afford quality, it's great to get quality. I get it, but I'm just saying that's the worst case scenario, is you do that. But with that said, we have payment plans where you can do 0 interest up to 60 months for a bed. Get the stuff you want. Get the bed and the piers, and you get the bed and the piers, and depending on which bed you get, it's $5,000 to $7,000 for that. But if you get a monthly payment, it's $100 a month, right? And no interest. So, would you rather do it right or do it over? Or would you rather work on a bed that's solid and, you're going to have it the rest of your life, and, so we're a full service business. We have a lifetime warranty, so we can, it's just a lifetime. You're going to own this bed for a long time, and the piers. So, would you rather do it right or do it over? But again, if you really are stuck on that number, then just get the bed from me. Just get the bed. Save your space. There's people buy cheap furniture all the time. Cheap furniture is sold every day. It's very rare that you get this kind of quality from our kind of business, from a business that's been around like we have, from a manufacturer that's been around over 30 years. Wallbeds and More is not just here. Wallbeds and More, there's all across the country. We're a huge, chain, and we've sold thousands of beds. We've done thousands of installs. We have a system, a process, a procedure. And so we're not, and everybody tries to copy us, and people, people shop around and try to copy us and buy our products and stuff like that. But it's just not the same quality. And even if there's another retailer that sells the same product, they haven't been doing our installations and and we price match that. So if you ever think you can get a better price, you can't, and we will, if we get a quote from another retailer and it beats our price, we'll price match it after the order. If that's what makes you go ahead and pull the trigger and make a decision, then we'll do that. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. Do I want my space? And my guess is you do. If you're on my website, if you're clicking on my website, if you're making phone calls, if you're setting up meetings with us, then you want your space. You do. I think that it's important that you understand everything that you're missing out on by not having a wall bed.